Well guys, the League of Legends World Championship Grand Finals might have been boring as hell, but the offseason isn't. Griffin, the Korean League of Legends team that's been embroiled in scandal for the last 2 months, is back at it. Investigations, resignations, secret recordings, there's a lot to talk about. Well guys, Worlds is over, and before the dust has even settled, there were more bombshells in the Griffin scandal. For those who haven't kept up on your Korean League drama or seen our previous video on the topic, here's a TLDR. First we have Griffin, this Korean League of Legends team that's a bit of a Cinderella story. They debuted a few years ago, made it to the LCK, and have come first or second in the regular season and playoffs every split since. Flash forward to a few months ago, just a week before the League of Legends World Championship group stage begins, and they fire their coach, a guy named CV Max. Now this is pretty weird because CV Max has been with the team since the beginning, and he is credited with being a big part of the team's success. A couple of the Griffin players do interviews where they kind of call CV Max out, he sees them on stream, and shit just goes off. He says that the Griffin director, a guy by the name of Cho Vietnam, was allegedly a kind of tyrant who fired CV Max out of spite and jealousy. Cho apparently denied that CV Max had any part in the team's success. He wouldn't let him stream during his time with the team, and nepotism, according to CV Max, ran rampant under Cho. Apparently, this was particularly the case when it came to a Griffin player by the name of Sword. Whew, that's about as close to as a TLDR as I'm ever gonna get. Next thing you know, Kespa's investigating, Riot Korea's poking their nose in it, and 2 Korean senators are making statements on it. It's basically become bigger than League of Legends. And hey, there's a lot more to the original story, so if you do want to get caught up, you should click slightly above my head and to the right for our previous video on the subject. Okay, so now that we're caught up, what's new? Well, since that time, Riot has completed an interim investigation into everything that happened, and Cho, you know that guy CV Max slang all those allegations at? Yeah, he's gone.
Bafflation.
Earlier this week, on November 12th, the parent company of Griffin released a statement on the whole scandal. And according to Horizon's Kevin Kim, director Cho took responsibility and resigned. The CEO of Griffin also apologizes for everything that's happened and promises to cooperate with Riot's ongoing investigation. Now, just a reminder about Cho, this is the guy at the heart of pretty much all of CV Max and Kanavi's allegations towards Griffin. He was accused of frankly terrible behavior, of manipulation, of nepotism, of mismanagement. And now he's gone. One hopes that the unfortunate, potentially illegal situations that this guy allegedly created when he was on Griffin leave with him. Although somehow, I don't think this is gonna end anytime soon. As for Cho himself, well, he gave a 2-part blockbuster tell-all interview to a Korean media outlet called Sports Chosun. In these interviews, he apparently gives a very different account of what happened, and according to former Los Angeles Valiant translator Andrew Kim, throws some pretty crazy curveballs at CV Max in particular. Now, one more point about the Griffin statement. There was a note in there that some people translated or interpreted as meaning that Griffin was gonna blow up their whole roster and rebuild. And that would be pretty fucking spicy, given how well Griffin's roster has performed over the years and at Worlds in particular, but it may not be true. According to former League of Legends pro and coach Loco Doco appearing on Travis Gafford's Hotline League, this may have been a misinterpretation or a mistranslation, and Griffin were actually talking about rebuilding the internal culture, not the actual roster.
Oh, that's not going to be a thing, by the way. I think Griffin does get to keep their roster. When they said build from the beginning, they mean like rebuild their culture, not rebuild their roster.
Oh, because you saw that the thing that
yeah. People are tweeting at me about it. From what I know, it's rebuild their roster, not rebuild their roster, rebuild their culture, not their roster. They get to keep the roster. Yeah.
But what about that Riot Korea investigation into the alleged player tampering with Kanavi? Well, according to their interim report, apparently when it comes to all the major allegations, everything's all good. Okay.
Bullshit.
I'm not gonna get into the dirty nitty-gritty details here, but essentially there are different rules for players on loan and foreign imports when it comes to the LCK and LPL, the Korean and Chinese League of Legends leagues. Those rules were thought to be in conflict at various points, but Riot's investigation determined that there was no player tampering and that no one violated the rules for players on loan when it came to Kanavi and the LPL. The ruling also stated that at this time there is not enough evidence to determine whether Kanavi was coerced or threatened or blackmailed in any way. Now, the ruling did admit that some of the rules in place could be exploited and that they're going to be making changes to them in time for 2020. And remember guys, this is an interim investigation, so there will be more to come. So I have this guy on Twitter, and every time I make a tweet, he replies with something about my mustache and how much he loves it. Look, I appreciate it. I like the fact that I got brand value from this thing, but I'm getting a little worried. I don't want to wake up one day and have this guy shaving off my mustache and putting it into a fucking Ziploc bag, okay? No offense. He might kill me now. That may actually be the trigger that causes him to kill me.
There's no way that you saying this on camera isn't gonna help his cause.
I love you, Haiku. You're all right, man.
He's gonna get so much